Well, we got wrapped up with our series looking at In the Beginning, and we're focused on Genesis, and we talked about that at our last gathering at the Mike and Martha Carroll's cookout. So we're going to start something new this summer. We're calling it the Summer of Songs. The Summer of Songs. And so a lot of what we're going to be talking about is going to be kind of looking back and talking about and discussing songs. And we're looking at different things. You know, there's such a great variety of songs. I mean, people will write songs about anything, and they'll become wildly popular. I mean, somebody wrote a song about a boy named Sue. I mean, you wouldn't imagine that song, you know, could ever be written, that there was even a reason to write that song. But, you know, people write a song about anything. People write a song about a girl who likes cruising in her car so much, and she's having fun until her daddy takes her T-Bird away. I mean, people write songs about anything. And there's so many different kinds of songs. You know, there's sad songs, and some are just depressingly sad. You know, first thing that came to mind was there's a song called "He Stopped Loving Her Today." I mean, that's just amazingly sad. I mean, you know, that just kind of sticks with you. There's songs that are happy, though, on the other end of things, you know, where the verse is something like, you know, I see trees of green and red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. You know, anybody recognize that song? What a wonderful world, yeah. So there's some that are very upbeat, some are motivational, but some are just very inspirational. I remember in high school, whenever our football team got within the red zone, the 10 yards before scoring a touchdown, our band always played the same song. Now, you would think that would get old, and you would think you'd get tired of it, but our team didn't end up in the red zone very often. So it was a big deal. Everybody's like, they're playing the song. So even if you lost track, you weren't really paying attention to the game, if you heard the band kicking up that song, you're like, hey, we're gonna do something. We might score. You know, it was pretty upbeat, pretty great. So it was just a good sign. But they're just, you know, they're inspirational, and you can't hardly go to any sporting event if you ever, you know, go to one nowadays. It doesn't matter if it's baseball or football or whatever. There's music playing throughout the stadium, almost nonstop. You know, there's something in the background. You know, when I was in LA a couple weeks ago, I heard there's this one pop artist named Adriana. How do you say that? Grande. Anyways, last name's Grande. Anyways, her music was in every place I went. I mean, she must own LA. You would think so, because she was in every elevator, restroom, you know, lobby, hotel, restaurant. It didn't matter. Wherever you go, her music was playing. So she's great in LA, I guess. So, but music is such a big part, and there's so many different varieties and kinds. One of the kinds I was thinking about the other day, because we're, you know, close to Memorial Day, was patriotic songs. You know, there's songs that their whole purpose is just to be patriotic, to have that kind of patriotic message. What comes to mind when you think of a patriotic song?
Lee Greenwood song.
God Bless the USA? Lee Greenwood, yeah, right. Somebody said something over here.
Star Spangled Banner.
The Star Spangled Banner, yeah, the anthem.
God bless America.
God.
Oh my God.
Y'all were like singing it. That was good. Y'all said it together.
Great on something. They can't mark that down.
Any others come to mind?
America the Beautiful.
America the Beautiful, yeah. I think there was actually a discussion, I don't know, maybe 10 or 20 years ago about changing the national anthem to, I think, America the Beautiful. But anyway, so, you know, there's all kinds of varieties of songs, all kinds of genres and styles, you know, that people just like. Different kinds of music, you know, some people tend towards this and some people tend towards that. But it doesn't matter what kind of style of music that you like. There's one kind of song that ends up being on every kind of style. And that's what we're going to talk about today. It's the love song. And our focus today is the power of love. Now, we're not just talking about songs to be talking about songs. Our focus this whole summer for the most part, will be in the book of Psalms. So you wonder where we're going to be each week and that kind of thing. Or maybe you're not reading something consistently, with any kind of program or, anything like that, the format. Read through the book of Psalms with us. Go through the book of Psalms. We're going to be spending some time this summer in the book of Psalms. And you may know, that's just basically Israel's songbook. That's the songs they sang in the temple. It's the songs they sang going to the temple. It's the songs that they knew, they grew up with, they taught it their children, and they shared. So for an Israelite, these songs were immensely important. And that's where we're going to spend our time this summer, is with those songs. And we're going to start with the focus on the power of love. The power of love. Because there's probably,
Back to the future.
maybe like that. There's no more popular thing to talk about than love when you talk about songs. I mean, it's just, every genre has them. So if you have your Bibles or a way to get to it, go to the book of Psalms. And we're going to start the playlist, first track. You had a hymnal, you had an Israelite songbook. This would be right at the beginning for us. Psalm 1. And if you're old enough to remember 45s and vinyl, that's where you put the needle right at the very, you've got to kind of be real careful. You got to put the needle right at the beginning of the, edge of the vinyl, or it's going to skip off and you're going to scratch it up and it'd be bad. But, that's when you start it right at the edge. So Psalm number 1 is where we're going to start. Psalm number 1. And it starts off, blessed is the man. Blessed is the man. Well, that sounds good. Blessed is the man. Blessed and this is coming from the Hebrew Asher, which is, you might remember Jacob named one of his sons this. And what it points to is somebody who is not just has the favor of God, they're blessed. It actually has a associated connotation of being happy. Blessed is the man. So happy is the man. I mean, he's got God's favor. Things are good for him. All right? Blessed is the man. He has God's favor, God's blessing. He has happiness. Blessed is the man. And when we think about happiness, you think about, that's like such a common thing nowadays. Well, I just want to be happy. That's probably the most common phrase you can hear somebody talk about. Well, I just want to be happy. Why'd you leave that marriage? Well, I wasn't happy. Why did you leave that job? Well, I wasn't happy. Well, what do you want? Well, I just want to be happy. That's nothing wrong with that. That's what I want to be. And we think it's something we have to do a lot of times. But it actually tells us that this guy is happy and he's blessed by God because of what he doesn't do. Blessed is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the wicked, or stand in the way of sinners, or sit in the seat of mockers. You see that kind of progression there? He doesn't walk in the counsel, he doesn't stand, and he doesn't sit. It's getting across the idea that he doesn't dabble in any of this junk. He's a straight arrow. It has no part in his life. It doesn't direct his path. He doesn't associate with it. And doesn't join in. This is this guy. He does not walk in the counsel of the wicked, stand in the way of sinners, or sit in the seat of mockers. And he is blessed because of that. See, he's blessed because of what he doesn't do. He has happiness because of what he doesn't do. You see somebody like that, they get your respect. Because there's a thing about, and we'll just use that example about their time period. There's a thing about being at Sabbath on the temple, and being that guy, or that woman, however, being that person at Sabbath, at the temple, and then how you live the rest of your life. The other 6 days of the week. Well, This guy's true blue. And he's blessed because of it. He's the same guy on every other day of the week. It's not just performative. He would have your respect. He would have your honor. You would know, hey, that's somebody who's authentic. Because there's plenty of people, and you know them, I don't doubt that are one way on a Sunday and a lot different on Monday at work, or Tuesday with their family, or Wednesday with their spouse, or Thursday with their girlfriend, or Friday with their boyfriend, or Saturday out wherever. There's a lot of people that dabble. This guy doesn't dabble. Doesn't play around. And he's blessed because of it. He's the same guy every day of the week that has no part in his life. Now, we see somebody that authentic, that true, that kind of a straight arrow. That guy who just, he's real. He is who he says he is, and he does what he says. He's that kind of person. We think, well, how do you get to be like that? How do you get to be noted like that? How do you get to have that kind of respect and people have that kind of regard for you? What's motivating that? What keeps him from turning away from evil every time it tries to, get him to join in or try to influence him? What keeps him on that straight and narrow path? Look what it says, verse 2. But he knows that the Lord is a strict judge who is watching every second and will smite down anyone who transgresses. That's why he's motivated. That's what keeps him going on the straight and narrow, from dabbling in any of this junk that's evil. Because he knows that the Lord is a strict judge, watching every second. Is that what it says?
No, because I'm
No. No. Y'all that had the Bibles open or had the screen or whatever it might be, y'all know that's not what it says. That's not what it says. That's not why he's motivated. That's not why he's a straight arrow. That's not why he's a good guy. That's not why he does that. That's not what makes him this way. What makes him this way, verse 2. But his delight is in the law of the Lord. And on this law he meditates day and night. That's why. That's what motivates him. Because, see, he delights in the law of the Lord. He delights. He loves it. And this word in the Hebrew has also the idea of, that he has so much value in it. It just has a part of him. It's his love. Like the psalmist later says, I think it's 119, oh, how I love your law. That's the power of love. He loves God's law, and it has an effect on his daily life. That's the power of love. Now, here's the thing. When we see that, a lot of times us as Christians, we may think, well, okay, on this law he meditates, his delight is in the law. Okay, and we may jump and think, well, he's talking about all Scripture. And I can understand that, because there's things about Scripture that I love. Some of Paul's writings in Philippians, man, that's great. And there's some things I read in Daniel, and that's inspiring and, just captures my attention, But see what this guy says specifically. The law. The law. And to an ancient Israelite, what this would mean is Torah. That's the first 5 books of the Bible. That's the first 5 books of the Bible. So he's not talking about every single book that you can think of and one that you like and one that you're more attracted to and one more interesting to you. He's talking about something else. He's talking about the first 5. The first 5. What's the first 5? How's it go? Right. That's all he's talking about. And he is so enraptured, he's so captivated, and he loves this so much that it changes his life, that it keeps him on the straight and narrow. And how do we act towards this a lot of times? Have you got a reading program or something that you're doing where you're reading through the Bible? Man, you act like you're a speed reader. You just want to go through that, just, all right, let me get through this. All right, one verse, next chapter. All right, I did that. That's enough for today.
Just the bagats.
The bagats. We're going to talk about that. See, we race through this stuff. This stuff is what made this man who he is. Now, the reason is about your perspective. Because, see, this had such a big part to an Israelite in Israel is because of what they saw in it that we don't often see. Man, we want to rush towards the Psalms. Or we want to rush towards Proverbs. Or we want to rush towards Daniel. We want to rush towards, Mark. Somewhere else. This guy is captivated by that. And it's because of his perspective. See, when they saw all this and all this story about the bagats and this family and this heritage and this one person had another family member, and then there was another family member and then there was another son and another son, and they go, well, we just got to get lost. We go, man, I don't want to go through this guy's family album. There's a lot of names I can't pronounce half of, and we get bogged down. What they're seeing is a God who is relational. All the other gods, the Baals and the Asherahs, and all these other gods in the ancient Near East, they were nothing like that. They weren't personal. They didn't interact with people trying to bless them and help them and guide them. What they see in that and all those family lines and everything like that, they see a God who cares. That he's going to get involved, and it's not just to punish. They see a God who cares. So all those family lines are going, wow, look, God's involved in this family, and he's involved in this family, and he knows them by name. He knows them by name. God is involved. He's personal. He has a personal investment in them. He loves them. That's totally unlike anything else they would have ever heard. Exodus, the covenants. And he's rescuing them from slavery. And he brings them out of the land, and then he provides for them. Quail, manna, water. He's taking care of them every step of the way. And where's he leading them to? A land which isn't their own, that all of a sudden now he gifts to them. And now these people that were just a bunch of slaves now have an entire nation for themselves. A land of milk and honey. And that's what the guy sees. He says, God's involved in families, and he's making covenants, and he's promising to bless, and he's taking care of us, and he rescues us from slavery, and then he provides for us, and then he gives us a land, and then you get over here, and a little bit here, towards the end, and he got all these laws he's giving. And you think, well, man, that's a lot of laws. That's a lot of structure. I mean, that's everything from what to eat to how to build your house. But what the guy sees is that this guy's involved. God is involved with these families. He wants what's best for them. He's sharing with them the right way to do things. If you have a mom or dad growing up, didn't you appreciate when they showed you the right way to do things? When you've been messing it up for, again and again and again, and finally they come along and they go, look, all right, enough's enough. Let me show you how to do this. And they showed you, you're going, I'm so glad you showed me. Because I was just making a mess of it. And it was just getting worse. Going from bad to worse. And what does God do? He shares with them how to order their lives, how to order their nation, how to order their priesthood, how to have a tabernacle where he would meet with them. He's sharing with them. He loves them. And so often we think about the law, and it's something along the lines of, well, okay, if you get all these laws right, if you get it in order and you're doing it right consistently, well, then you can have a relationship with God. But that's not how it goes. God gave them a relationship with Him before they obeyed any laws. God was reaching out to them before they did anything right. The law was a confirmation that He loved them. The law was a confirmation that He loved them. And so, the power of love, this guy in his life, he's going through this, and he's letting it do this. He's letting it order his life. Because this is what happens. Love orders our lives. You see what he's doing? It's keeping him, those first lines in verse 1, it's keeping him away from the bad things that could just tear him down, that would be destructive to him, that would be harmful, that would be sinful. It's keeping him away from the bad things, and it's keeping him focused on the good things. And look at it. It says, and on this law he meditates day and night. Day and night. That means it's always coming back to him. He's always pondering. He's always kind of working through. He's always thinking about it. How God has loved those people. And he's one of them. And he's letting it order his life. To stay away from the bad things and to ponder it and to delight in it and to be that kind of person. Because love orders our lives. And you know this is true. Because you order your life around what you love. You order your life. You structure your life. You build your life on what you love. For some people, it's a career. And you can see by how they spend their time, like this guy meditating it on day and night. You can see how they spend their time and order their life around that career, that job they love. They'll sacrifice anything else for it. It don't matter. Sometimes it's simple. It's more like a hobby. And there's things that everything else gets pushed aside and nothing else can interfere with somebody who has that love for that other thing, that hobby or recreation or whatever. Sometimes it's downright destructive and addictive, the things that they love. And they order their whole life around it. And you know this. This is not revelation. This is not new stuff. You know, this is how we operate. Love orders our lives. What we really love, we order our whole life around it. We push other things out. Well, there's a priority, right? We got our priorities. It's based on what we love. That's how we make our decisions. Sometimes it's very, very, very self-centered. Because we're really in love with numero uno. We're really in love with ourselves. And it's all about what I want. And when I want it. And how I want it. And everybody else can go kick sand. Because that's how we operate. Because that's what we really love. We really love what we love. Ourselves. Because love orders our lives. And this is true with this guy. Because look what he loves. And look at the intensity he loves it. Now think about this. You think this is put in here at the very beginning and described in this way because this guy is an anomaly? That this guy is just so strange and different? That this guy is just an outlier? That he's just like in the 1%? Or is this supposed to be the norm for God's people? Is this supposed to be normal? Or is this guy just kind of lifted up on a pedestal, and he's just so much different from everybody else? Or is this how life really should be? Where we're captivated by God's Word, and we see God's personal hand on every chapter. involved with people, wanting what's best for them, blessing them, taking care of them, guiding them. Stay away from this. Pay attention to that. See, this guy is not the anomaly. This is not somebody that we should look and go, wow. We should go, sounds just like one of us. That's how it should be. So as I close this morning, where's your love? What's ordering your life? What gets priority and everything else can just stand back? Because that's the reality. You order your life around what you love. Well, let's look at it in the mirror. Where's your love? What's ordering your life? Because there's one way to be blessed. There's a way to be blessed. And so when you're not that way, you should ask questions. When you feel far from God, you should wonder who moved. Well, it's not God. Where's your love? Because the power of love can order your life in the right direction. And this is the teaching of the first song. As we close this morning in the final song, I want to put that on your heart. I want you to ask that kind of question. I know you got a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things maybe you got planned this week, and you got 50 million things that you know it's next, and it's next, and it's this, and it's this. But this morning, you got a chance to think about something that maybe you won't think about the rest of the week, and it could change your life. Where's your love?